Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Rob.
And this is Ask Rob and Rob.
Hi everyone and welcome back to Ask Rob and Rob. It's a Tuesday. We're in the mood to answer some of your questions. So here we are. This week we've got a couple of great questions in from Tom and Mike. But before we kick off, here's a reminder of how you can join us on the show in the future.
Yep, you should know this by now, but on the off chance that you don't, the number is 013 808 00035. That's 013 808 00035. Or you can go to thepropertyhub.net/ask. So let's have a listen now to our first question, which comes all the way from Dubai via Tom.
Hi, Rob and Rob. This is Tom, and I am sending you this message from Dubai, where I currently live. I just want to say thank you for all of the free content you're putting out there. I started probably listening about 2 years ago, and it was certainly your podcast that gave me the initial impetus to start looking at becoming an investor. And now I'm hoping that I can invest in property and ideally retire within the next 10 years would be my ideal. I have two questions regarding myself being an expat, and I'm sorry to the rest of the listeners who this might not apply to. Buying my second property, I currently own two properties, I found that the expat mortgage market was quite limited, and I found myself only having a very few products to choose from. I just wondered, first of all, how you see this market moving in the future. Will it get better for UK expats, or do you feel it could actually get worse? And secondly, if I was to set up a limited company in the UK, would I be able to access the limited company mortgage market, which we can see is growing at the moment, even though I am currently a non-UK resident? If you could let me know on those two, that would be fantastic. Thanks again, guys.
Thanks, Tom. I hope you're enjoying your sunny winter over there in Dubai. It's just lovely over here in the UK. Really good question, really interesting one. This is a market I've followed for a long time because I've worked with so many expats. And you may actually be surprised, but the market, in my opinion, for expats isn't too bad. It's a lot better than it used to be. Going back just maybe 3-4 years ago, you were so limited. There was one or two products in the whole market. And I remember when one of those lenders pulled out, which was Lloyds at the time, and left just one lender in the market, which was HSBC International for expats. Now, I'm pleased to say, and as you know, it's a little bit better than that now. You have a handful. And while it is limited, it is better than it used to be. And I think that's where the trend is going. I think it'll improve again. Will it ever compete with the UK domestic market for mortgages? No, it won't. And I don't think you're expecting that either. But will it improve from where it is now? Yeah, absolutely. And you asked there about mortgages for limited companies. Yes, there are options there as well. I know a popular mortgage product, as we record this, for expats is with the lender Surebrook. So I'd definitely be speaking to your mortgage broker about that. So yes, there are options buying for your own name, and there are options buying for a limited company mortgage as well. Actually, if I had to place a little wager, I'd say limited company mortgages are going to get easier with expats because they seem to be less strict. So definitely worth checking out.
Well, Rob, you've been on fire with your predictions of late, so I would not be surprised if that ended up coming to pass. And if it does, that'll be great news for all those lucky expats. Okay, onwards now to a question from a place less sunny, but no less special, especially for you, Rob. This is Mike from Liverpool.
Hi, gents. This is Mike from Liverpool. I'm a first-time buyer who's also renting, and I'm looking to start to grow an investment portfolio. My question is, would you recommend buying our first property, our first family home, view to releasing equity via a remortgage in order to invest in our buy-to-let business? Or would you recommend starting a buy-to-let business now with the view to making a purchase of a family home later down the line? Yeah, if you can give any advice, much appreciate it. And I'll love all the work that you're doing, by the way, guys. Thank you.
Well, if we thought Dubai was good, Mike's just outdone Tom.
Yeah, well, Mike is very lucky because as well as being from a wonderful place, he's also had one of his questions pretty much answered by the episode that we recorded just the other week, with a great debate about whether you should buy or rent. So your mind may have already been made up depending on whether Rob or I convinced you more.
Mike, tell me it was home bias and you went with me.
Yeah, I didn't stand a chance really, did I? I hadn't thought of that. So in that case, let's assume that Mike is going to keep on renting. And in that case, as we acknowledged in the episode, The main kind of thing you need to consider when you're renting your own home is access to mortgages. Now, I went quite strong about this as a barrier because I was playing to win, but in fact there are a few mortgages that you have access to, and so as long as that remains the case, that shouldn't be a major concern. So as renters, you don't particularly have any more challenges than anyone else. You've got the same challenge that almost everyone else has, which is cash. You need to have the capital to invest to build up that portfolio. If you're not buying your own family home, then of course that's more cash that can go into the pot. So if you're still undecided, you're still unsure, here's what I'd do. First of all, go back to that episode from the other week and use that as a basis of listing out your own pros and cons list for deciding whether to rent or buy. There are lots of factors that we talked about in there. You'll weight them differently depending on your situation. Some of them might seem really, really important to you. Others, like, yeah, maybe, but not a big deal. So go back, listen again, actually write out the ones that matter to you and see which side the scales come down on. Then having done that, like I said, you're in the same position as anyone else. You just need to work out a strategy that's going to work for you. So go over to thepropertyhub.net/courses and watch our goal setting course over there. That will help you get clear on what you want to achieve. Then you can start backfilling from there to work out exactly how you're going to do it. When you're not clear on the outcome, it's difficult for everyone and you're probably feeling pretty confused and not quite sure what to do. So do get clear on renting versus buying, because that'll send you down a different path in terms of the amount of cash that you're starting with. And then get clear on your goals and start setting little milestones along the way. It probably feels a bit confusing and overwhelming right now, but don't worry, if you follow those steps, I reckon you'll be feeling well on your way in no time.
So Tom and Mike, I hope you took lots of value from that, and from you listening at home, I hope you took value as well. Now, Rob and I draw down our own experiences when we give you these answers, but actually probably most of this experience comes from actually working with investors. And many people always ask, what do we do outside the podcast to work with all these investors? But rather than go on about it here on the podcast, if you'd like to find out for yourself outside the podcast, then check out one of our monthly webinars where we take you through all the interesting things that Rob and I work on outside of the podcast and how we help investors. If that sounds interesting to you, then go to thepropertyhub.net/discover. That's thepropertyhub.net/discover. Sign up for our monthly webinar there, and there we will tell you more about our interesting projects outside the podcast. And talking of podcast, we'll be back on Thursday with the main event, and of course, back next Tuesday with Ask Rob and Rob. So until then, have fun, take care, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.